welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yana Amor Manocas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits. Welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, everybody. I am your host, Yana Amor Manocas. Please join me in welcoming these lovely ladies. First, we have Rachel, who is our self-made boss babe and powerful entrepreneur, my partner in soul contracts and divine healing. Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
Hi. And then we have our multidimensional traveler, Amanda Kanini Dyer, who specializes in Lightbody activation, spiritual numerology, and quantum energetic healing. Hello, Amanda.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Followed by our gorgeous light warrior princess, Lauren Calvert, who is a gifted clairvoyant medium, soul contract, and divine healing practitioner. Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
And last but not least, our dragon slayer, Kylie Kay, who is a psychic medium specializing in past life regressions and soul healing through guided Akashic record meditations, and is known for her fearless approach for converting negative energy. Hi, Kylie.
Hello.
You guys, I'm so happy to be here again with you all. This is so exciting. And today we're actually talking about dreams, right? There's all types of dreams. There's lucid dreaming, nightmares, recurring dreams, premonition dreams, daydreams, and something called epic dreams. Has anybody ever heard about epic dreams?
No.
Okay, it's interesting because when I was like, oh, in my mind, I had all these different dream categories, but I was like, well, what else is there? So when I was doing some research, it came up and I'm like, well, this sounds interesting. Really what it is when you have dreams that are so vivid and so they feel so real, like you're in a movie. It's very kind of similar to that lucid dreaming, but it's so positive and so good. And you wake up and you're like, I want this. I want this so bad. So I'm like, oh, I feel like I may have had one or two of those in my life. They probably involved some sexy man like on the beach somewhere. I don't know. But that's probably how it would have shown up for me. But the dream that actually came to mind for me right away was, I guess was very lucid dreamy, but also kind of nightmare-y. Do you guys remember like I'm thinking of like the folks like back in the day where I don't want to say Amish, but like they wore like those white bonnets, those women,
Mhm.
and they had those really long skirts and fitted outfits. Okay. When I was dating somebody, this was years ago. At this point, it was probably like, it doesn't matter. It was years ago. I woke up one morning in his place and he was already off to work and it was just by myself. And it was actually in my dream. I woke up and I'm in his room. And what I saw was this baby, like almost like flying to me and then landed in my arms. It was this little baby girl. And I remember being like, oh my God, like I had this person's baby. And it was just like the most beautiful feeling. And all of a sudden, this image forms next to the bed next to me. And it's that woman who's got the white bonnet and she is scary as shit. And she looks at me, and when we make eye contact, she opens her mouth, and as she opens her mouth, it's just black. And every time she opens it, there's no sound, but the entire room fills with, you know, those like black scratch marks. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting
And
scared listening to it. We're all
I know.
engaged.
I know. I'm really interested to see what happens next.
I remember being terrified and I wanted to scream, but there was no sound coming out. And she did that once or twice where when she opened her mouth, those marks would fill the room. And then it was one of those where then I went to finally scream and I did, but it woke me up but it was absolutely 100% one of those dreams where I'm like, no, that actually happened. Like I felt it in every cell of my body. And it was the next day that the relationship ended.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, I clearly was not meant to be in that space. I clearly should. I knew in that moment when I realized the dream that I had, the experience I just had, I was like, this is not good. I have to get out of this physical space. And it really struck me. It really struck me. But then, of course, when the relationship is over the next day, you're like, oh, there was a clear meaning to that. I absolutely had to get out of there for whatever reason, X, Y, and Z. And it was like, it has stayed with me. And every time I think about it, I do my best to block out the energy of it because I'm like, I've never had a dream terrifying like that. It was like I was watching a movie, but it was not an epic dream, okay? I was watching a movie where it's just scary. And I don't watch scary movies for that reason. I don't want to imprint all that negativity. I don't want to take it on. Bring me the joy and the love. But that dream was just so insane to me where I was like, oh, I wish to never experience that again. But that was very real. Very real.
Yeah, I can really feel that. It
mm.
feels very intense. And I'm just interested, Kylie, if there's like anything running through your
Yes.
head about that one.
So, fun story. I have very
Mm.
similar dreams, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
This
for
doesn't feel fun.
me, I know. So, for me, I don't remember dreams, but I have this particular dream maybe twice a year. Now, I had a very traumatic childhood, right? So, my Achilles heel is anything to do with my parents' house in Australia, right? So, I will go into a similar dream sequence where there is like, it's paralysis,
Mm.
right? So, you're watching this thing unfold, and I'm lying in the street of my parents, like next to my parents' house, because I've run out of the house. I've run out onto the street and it's like a major road, and I'm about to get run over and I can't move. And I have complete sleep paralysis. And I wake up, I don't have scratches, but my thing is spiders. Hate them. So if I
Yes.
see a spider somewhere,
Sorry.
yeah. So energy will tap into your deepest fear, right? Mine, I'm not scared of much, but spiders is my thing, right?
Yeah.
So I know that if I'm doing any work, spirit work, energy work, and there is a spider that pops up, I'm like, there's something around me that's not good, right? So if I'm running out of the house because there's spiders in there, I run out sleep paralysis. But it triggers your deepest fear because it wants your attention, right? And then you wake up the next day and that imprint of that energy stays with you for like a week until you finally release it, right?
Yeah.
But it's for you, it came through as like, it's time to make a change, right? And for me, it's like I'm leveling up on my trauma, or I'm dealing with something with trauma that's trauma related, right? So I completely understand. Like, even just going back there, I'm like, fuck, give me a teddy bear. Like, I'm terrified, right? But it's that sleep paralysis for me, all that shock, and that I can't move, I can't wake up. You wake up screaming. I wake up because I finally move and I'm like able to pull myself out of it. But that is such a real space to be in, and you can't articulate it until you've experienced it, right?
Yes.
And when you have something coming in, you know, I think that being like kind of the darker energy person that I am, I don't necessarily think that your like handmaiden that came in was like a negative energy. I think it was just representation of the negative in your life at that time. And it comes through as kind of creepy. Like, to me, I'm nothing, that imagery with the handmaiden, for you terrifying, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to get out of that. So that's my 2 cents on it. So I completely understand where you're coming from. Even energetically now talking about it, you know, we might have to do a bit of clearing because it's heavy
Yeah.
bringing both of our stories in. And I will help try to transmute a little bit of that with everyone else talking. But yeah, it's a real thing.
I jumped when you said spiders because and this happened very much when I was younger. I would, I think I was awake and see all of these really enormous, dark, sort of shadowy spiders around my room. And it's only happened a few times as an adult, but it is absolutely
Yes.
terrifying.
And I had that as a kid too, where I couldn't sleep, and it was like these dark, like shadows that
In the
looked like
corners of the
this.
rooms. Oh
Yep.
my, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was
Yep.
actually asleep. It wasn't me just looking at shadows. So it's interesting. And God, we've started on a nice
Well,
nice.
I'm thinking how
Positive
Australian
note.
the spider thing is, ladies.
Oh.
Because here am I before the show going, I haven't had any dreams, and I'm like, I've had spider dreams.
right.
And just so that you know, the 2 spider dreams that come up for me, and I hope I imprint this on the same way with you. And I'm not scared of spiders. My mum is terrified of spiders, and I think that I've caught a bit of that crap from her. But I can distinctly remember being really confused about a soft, cuddly teddy bear kind of spider in my dream. And I couldn't believe how cute and soft, like one of those jelly bear kind of things. And then, ladies, there was another dream where there was a big hairy spider, and I ate it. My gift
Good
to
for
you.
you. Did
I
you
know,
get
that's what I
some
mean.
stuff
So
from
here
it?
am I like, oh, I don't dream. And I'm like, give me the spider, I'll eat it, it's fine.
Well, which is great, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but spiders, don't they represent like that fear or anxiety within you? And so you ate your fear. You're like, screw that. I'm not
like,
allowed.
girlfriend, that's a great thing.
I think it's just
Yeah.
Carve me
hysterical
up
that you
some
got
of that. I
3
need some of that.
Australians. I know
It
we've
is
got 3
interesting.
Australians, just like we've got solid reasons to be scared of
Well,
spiders.
listen,
There's a couple of things. though.
and isn't it a thing where like the spiders in Australia are huge?
Huge. The hunts. The
They're
hunt.
huge.
They, oh,
Huge.
yeah, the huntsman. Yeah.
But also, like,
Yeah,
you know,
no.
there's all this
They're
other
not
stuff,
dangerous
like,
though, those ones.
you guys would just put your feet in shoes outside. Like, if you leave shoes outside in Australia, there's no way you just slot your feet in them.
Did I
Do you
tell
mean
you that I
bang,
have a
you
fear of
bang
spiders?
those
Like,
shoes, or
this
you
is not.
stand them?
This is
No.
not
Not
good.
doing anything.
But I'll tell you a couple
No,
of
no,
things
okay.
about
About,
spiders.
Sorry.
Right.
Yes,
Before
tell
we
us,
go on,
Amanda.
I'll tell you a couple of things about
Yeah,
spiders. So
I
there's
ate it.
2 different
Okay.
versions in terms of spiders. That for some cultures, spiders are very, very good things because spiders are the ones that they are the weavers. And spiders are very much connected to women as well because they are the creative force. And so they weave time, they weave the illusion of things, and a lot that goes along with that. You've got the other aspect of spiders called the arachnids. Now that is a 7th, I think 8th dimensional race of beings. Very, very scary, very, very very, very dangerous. A lot of people don't even like their names. The arachnids is kind of like nobody really likes to talk about them because it's almost like it's like Voldemort.
It's like saying Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I can feel
like
myself going all cold.
Beetlejuice. It really is. And they they are believed to be the ones that the sort of hierarchy or the sort of dark forces have used to create the illusions or the other realities that we seem able to exist in or move between was created by. That's the beings that they use to create it.
Wow.
Because of their ability to weave. And say like within the Native American Indian spider, grandmother spider is the, you know, is all good. It's about, you know, it's about creativity. It carries feminine energy. So really and truly the spider would belong to, like, if you were going to be looking at, say, like the numerology numbers would really belong to a 13-4, you know. But I don't like spiders at all. And so I would not be dreaming about a spider. My sister lives in Australia, and huntsman came off the wall, and she burst a blood vessel in her eye because she was screaming so much.
Kylie's going to check out of this whole thing in a second.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we're moving on from the spiders
right
now.
Let me need to douse it down. But like I was saying, arachnids, wish I had a lot more information on them, but a lot of people do not like to speak about them because
But are they negative? Are they bad? Are they dark energy? Or
you know what? I don't know necessarily if they are dark energy, but I think when things are of that dimension, if you are able to access and anchor that kind of energy, you could use it for what you want. And so far, they've been utilized for not good stuff.
sure.
Because of their abilities or powers of what we call in this dimension, because they are literally 7th dimensional beings. So arachnids are not, it's a really thing. And so sometimes when you're working with somebody and you see them come into their fields, or you see that they're on the edges of their fields or they're in there, you start thinking, holy crap, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to clear this energy down? Or how am I, because it's almost as if you've got to go into another step of protection, because they are hard to work with, or hard to sort of like put the fire out, because of their ability to create illusions and realities, and that makes it very difficult. So when it comes to dreams as well, that's what you need to be looking at if spiders are in your dreams. So it's really interesting that you swallowed yours, Rachel.
I'm not joking. Like, I don't need to make it
She's
worse, but I'll
about
try
us.
and make it. But it was a huge spider, and I can remember that it was in a wet dish and it was kind of hairy. And I like all of that makes me gag. But in the dream,
Yeah.
I was just like,
This looks good.
not even this looks good. I'm just like,
did you notice anything
was-
in your life around that time? Like, is there any correlation
Oh.
anywhere?
the spider dreams, really, you're taking me back to, like, all I can tell you is it would have been sometime in Brisbane, and I left Brisbane when I was 21. So we're talking minimum 30 years ago. And I don't, it's just so weird with me sitting like here saying I don't have any dreams. The first thing you're starting to talk, I'm like, what else are we going to talk about? So
I'm going to move away from the spiders.
Yes.
Yeah,
for a second.
I was going to.
So dreams is really interesting, because for me, dreams with animals in them, and I don't necessarily mean spiders, are actually usually prophetic dreams. So often when I have dreamt before someone has passed away, or I've dreamt of like a big decision or something coming up, it'll be represented by an animal in the dream. And it's not like, you've got to learn your own dream language. I think it's really different for everyone, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'll give you a really like simple, non-scary example. You know, my sister was deciding what school to send her son to, and he's a Leo. And one night I dreamt of a lion, and he had a cap in his mouth, and he threw it up on his head, and I could see the logo of the school.
Oh
and
my
that's the school she
God.
ended up choosing, right? So like it can be as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
To the, you know, a dream that I had that I then knew my dad was going to die, you know, so that's the sort of range of things there. So for me, it's really interesting. As soon as I have a dream with an animal in it, I mean, usually they're very vivid. I can remember how I'm feeling. I can remember what I'm thinking, all of these things, not necessarily a lucid dream, but I wake up with the full memory of the dream. And then I'll sort of sit with it and see. So it's quite interesting that is, you know, generally speaking, when I have any sort of, you know, prophetic dreams, they have animals in them. But that's part of my language. It's not like that for everyone, but yeah.
Right. So 100%, I've always said that everybody should build like their own dream vocabulary or dream book, because it does mean different things. And I don't think you should always go by what the standard is what you see, because sometimes you may never, ever relate to that. So my question is that there was a baby in this dream. We've missed the fact that there was a baby in this dream that was given to you. And then as you take this baby, this woman then appears.
Yes.
And then she opens her mouth and she literally shatters the fields, because that's what she's doing.
Yes.
Around you with that stuff. So could it be, because the first thing that came to me was, could it be, I don't know. I mean, I'm always kind of like out of the box, off the charts kind of thing. Could it be that somebody was bringing their baby to you, and in a way was giving you their baby and saying that it cannot be returned to me? I need you to take care of this baby, because where I'm coming from is not a good place. So I'm giving you this baby.
Okay.
Could it have been a witch traveling through time? I'm just throwing it out there. Do you know what I mean? Could it have been somebody traveling through time?
Okay, without getting too specific, there was a child involved, which was not mine. And it was the mother of the child who was going through her own stuff, who was not around. And then it was the unknown to me. It was the mother of the child who was, when she found out about me, I'll put it to you this way. When she found out about me, she caused enough trouble where I was like, I can't stay. And
It's like psychic attack.
Mhm.
Right.
And what's
I've
interesting,
got tingles down my legs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't find out about a whole slew of things until the next day. So even in that moment, it did very much feel to me like it was her energy being like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, that puts a whole
So
other
yeah.
yeah. And about the
Amanda,
wow.
why would anyone shatter fields? Like, is that to get to people, or is that to be able to change outcomes? I mean, why would you shatter fields around
Because when you
someone?
shatter somebody's fields, you make them extremely vulnerable to attack.
Okay.
So you've got to find a
Okay.
way in.
Okay.
You know, that's why we always talk about, you know, strengthening your energy, strengthening your body, strengthening your fields. You know, certain things that we do can put holes in your fields, can put holes in your auras, and it's through that you can get attachments. It's through that
Okay.
you can get you know what I mean, beings, all kinds of things will attach to your fields, and you're just weakened anyway. You know, and if somebody shatters your fields, which people can do, they shatter your field, it's almost like you're like the Walking Dead.
Okay.
If they do enough harm, then you're just like what I call, like, you're just walking around like a wraith, you know. Interestingly enough, yeah, well, maybe that's not for dreams. I was going to say, people do it in terms of doing dark magic. They do it a lot of times in order to anchor men. Women could do that in order to anchor and hold on to men. So they're literally like, they're wraiths. They're just like the Walking Dead. So that's what they
I
do.
just sprayed my perfume on my husband's pillow when we were dating. The truth
Enough
comes out.
said.
But he could just smell me all the time, even when I wasn't there. Yeah. There's a magic spell for you.
Yeah. Cute.
Well, that's called fortifying the fields.
It was with really good intentions.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So but then that tells you everything as to that tells you everything then as to what was going on.
Yeah,
But she was strong enough and powerful enough to actually visit you in a completely different state.
Yes.
So whether or not there was anything else involved, that type of energy you needed to be away from, because my girl was up to some madness.
And it's funny because I was very well aware of who the energy belonged to. And what I did was I actually got up, I had anointing oil. For whatever reason, I had it in my purse. I literally went and I anointed every single window, and then I got out. I was like, I need to clear this energy and I need to get out.
So did you say to him, who's this woman that's turned up next to my bed wearing a bonnet and a baby?
No, because he would have thought that I was crazy. You know what I mean? Like, most people don't understand or don't experience stuff like this. And when you share it, they're like, okay. And it was one of those where, like, I was so terrified. I kept it to myself. I said nothing. And then the next day, everything came out. And it was one of those where it's like, there's no point in me even sharing it, you know? But years later, he did tell me, I'll put it to you this way. It wasn't even a week later where he's like, oh my God, trying to work it out. And I was like, not happening. But it was years later that he actually said to me, you know, I saw that you put the cross on my windows. And I was like, okay. And I had to just say, the energy was not good. I felt something. I knew something was coming. I did that to the windows and I walked out. And I still have never gone into that dream because it's also terrifying for me. You know,
I
that
don't think
energy.
you need to go back into it.
Yeah. No, the energy of it. But I mean, look, I'm at a point now where I'm able to protect myself, right? We talk about this, energetically protecting yourself. And so when I go back to that dream now, as I share it with you guys, I feel the energy of it, but it doesn't consume me or attach to me or any of that, you know, but it's wild. And dreams like that happen very, very often. They're very common where people are like, you wake up and the energy of it, what it means plays out in your life almost immediately. and you're like, you know, so what are those dreams? Are those also prophetic dreams? Are they premonition dreams? Are they get the fuck out of here dreams? Like, what are they?
I think that
Hey,
one's a
what I
little bit
want
of
to
a
ask,
combination.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what I want to ask you guys is how you guys separate the concept of dreaming as prophetic in this lifetime, in this dimension, and dreaming that is not that. Like, how do you even discern that? Because by the
I
sounds of it, it's only if it just turns up in your life, that's what makes it. And if it doesn't turn up in your life, then it's not that.
Well, I'm going to jump in because for me, I have very distinct differences with my dreams.
Okay.
Okay. So it's the feeling that I get. And
Okay.
the ones I've had 3 dreams that have been past lives, that I know were past lives. Don't ask me how, I just know, where I was very conscious in the dream. So whether I travel there and it's a current life and all of those things, you know, we'll put that for later. But you know, and they were 2 of them. I mean, one of them was, you know, essentially being killed in a past life, like witch trials, persecution stuff. Another one was ancient Egypt, where, you know, I was a healer, but I was forced to kill people. And then there was another one, which was, we won't talk about. But they have they have their own energetic signature, like, well, at least for me. And obviously I've had a lot of dreams. Like it's probably been my first connection really into the spiritual world, my intuition, all of those things. With like, my dreams have always really spoken to me. So I really pay attention to, you know, if I can, how I feel when I wake up, if I can remember how I was feeling in the dream, all these different things, it just tells me different parts. So I sort of have my own language, I guess, and connect to it in that way. Right.
Have you had
And
multiple
sometimes
dreams of those lifetimes, or just one off dreams of those
just
lifetimes?
one. And I tell you what, that was
Okay.
enough. Because like, they're really, really intense. So there's only
Yeah.
3 past life dreams I can remember. Right. And then the ones that are more premonition, they usually confirm fairly quickly, or because of my history, if I have a particular type of dream, I know that that means that, but I don't know when it's going to happen. So I've built up,
Okay.
like Amanda said, my own sort of language or dream library or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, for me, it's the feeling, because there are other things too, like visitations and all sorts of things that you can do in your dream state. But yeah.
So, you know that there are different types of dreams in the way of, like, obviously we know like how they show up, or, you know, we're talking about the difference between you knowing that it is a dream that's coming, that is telling you something, as opposed to you just dreaming in the now and in the moment. But I think that it's really kind of, for me, it's really kind of hard to do that, because I think that when you sleep, you are traveling. So you literally travel out of the body and you're gone here, there, and everywhere, different dimensions, different realities. I know people that have dreamt themselves, but they're actually in another version of their lives that's actually existing. So they're actually watching themselves in another version. And the stranger thing was that the flat was the same, everything was the same. It was almost as if they'd gone forward in time and they'd seen what happened. I think like a few days later, they were watching it all play out, like a few days later, and then came back into their bodies and woke up. And then that event happened within a couple of days.
It's like deja vu.
Yeah, it was like that. It was literally like that. But I think what we realized is what it was giving her was information of how to handle the situation that was coming. But she was literally there. She was watching herself. So it wasn't like she was dreaming it. She was in the dream and seeing through her own eyes. She was literally there watching the whole interaction that was happening inside her flat. So she was literally traveling. Then you have those types whereby you know you're traveling, because a lot of people are experiencing sleep paralysis, whereby they come back, but they don't come back in their body, but they feel like they've woken up in their body, but they're not actually in the body because they can't move and they can't speak. Now that's happened to me quite a few times. And it's happening to a lot of people. In fact, somebody just asked me the question about that the other day. And it's kind of like, And then when you're in that state, you can hear, it's sort of like you're in that astral plane because your spirit, your soul hasn't yet come back seamlessly into the body.
Right.
And it's a bit like, you know, I always describe it's a bit like when a plane lands, you know, you can either get a smooth landing or you can get a bumpy landing. And the bumpy landing is when you don't quite mesh totally. And so you go into that in between space and time between the body has kind of woken up, but you're not back in the body. So you can see, and you can see everything. And what people usually experience in that space is shadowy figures, things like that. They hear voices, they hear people talking, they can even see people in the room. For me, it was always a case of that I could hear people moving around in the house, and I'm absolutely petrified because obviously I know I'm by myself. And that would happen a lot when it would also happen when I went into meditation, deep meditation, that I would experience sleep paralysis. And I wasn't even sleeping. And then what I also would hear is this rumbling, and it's been confirmed by other people, this rumbling, like as if a massive lorry has gone past the window, you know, and it's this really, you know, shaking all the house and everything like that. And cross, I forgot what but that is part of that, you know, you're in a different realm. You're not actually back in the body. And I fought to wake up. You know, and I remember there was one time my sister was in the house and I was trying to, I think I had to dream about her son. Oh, I'll tell you what, I had a dream about her son, and that her son had been here before. I think it was, oh God, I don't know if they didn't, but anyway, I had a dream about her son and this very old sort of Chinese man, this Mandarin man who was almost like a teacher. And then I don't know if it was years later, and I was trying to wake up, I was calling her, and the man was speaking to me about her son. And I think about a couple of years later, I can't remember what it was, they traveled, and he actually, I think this might be correct, I can't really quote myself, but quote unquote, but they were in some market somewhere, they'd gone abroad, they were in some market somewhere, and I think the man maybe stepped out of the crowd, and her son just walked straight up to him because he knew him. And I can't remember really what happened. I just didn't bring it back to memory for this, but I was experiencing all of that. Now, I don't know if I went there and I saw all of this and I came back into the body. But at the time when I came back in, it wasn't, I was so, sometimes you can be so, what's the word, like disorientated that I didn't come back in cleanly. And so there was so much happening. I heard people in the room, I heard a very deep male voice talking to me. And the windows were rumbling, and people were moving around the room, and it freaked me out. I think after the last time it happened, I just said, yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, this is really quite scary, because I didn't know if I would get back inside my body. And so you see, there's a film, there's about 3 of them out called Insidious. I don't know if anybody's watched them.
I refuse.
Oh my God, those films are crazy. And I remember I didn't want to watch it. And then I watched the first one, and I had to sleep with all the lights on. I literally had to sleep with all the lights on. At the time in our house, the toilet was downstairs.
Yeah, well, none of us will be watching it, Amanda.
My husband was somewhere, was I don't know where he was working, but he wasn't there. And that night, then I heard one of my sons waking up to go downstairs to the toilet, and I just came out and I said, Daly, you going to the toilet? And he's like, yeah, Mum. I said, wait for me. Wait for me. I said, don't go upstairs. Don't go back upstairs without me. And remember, he was away. He was away. And I rang him and I said to him, oh my God, I really am frightened. It's about 2 o'clock. And I said, I'm so frightened. I said, I can't sleep. I said, I really am frightened. He goes, why are you frightened? Oh my God, I watched this film. And he sort of, bye, babes. And he just put down the phone. He said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And you're calling me back. You're frightened about. He put down the phone. And then I lay there for a while. Then I thought, you know what? I pay the bills. If I want to have that electricity burning all night, it's burning all night. I don't care. And I put that lamp on, and that was how I slept. It frightened the life out of me. The reason why it frightened the life out of me was because it's to me, it's very real.
Yeah.
It's a very, very real world. Because what that whole film was about is about the fact that when you sleep and if you go into the astral plane, because most times you're hoping that you pass through safely and you come back. astral plane is not really somewhere whereby you want to be hanging around in. And the dad, it happened to him when he was young, but he'd also passed it on to the son, where the son was like this kind of traveler. So he used to travel. But what was happening was that he's in the astral plane, and there are lots of beings and energies in the astral plane that want to get into your body. They want to get into your body. And so what they were doing was that they kept him comatose. They kept him trapped in the astral plane while they were finding ways to access the physical body. That happens a lot. That happens
Not sleeping
a lot.
tonight.
Okay. Kylie, we need more clearing energy, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, well-
Please get the feathers out. Yeah.
You want to ring some bells?
Yeah, I've got some wind chimes. Maybe I should get them.
Sweating over
Yes,
Um,
you want to ring some bells.
I've got my Isis pendulum, so just use that a little bit too.
Yeah.
Can we talk about bumpy re-entries though?
Yes.
Because I've had one that was really bad where I actually had to stay in bed all day. And it's like I actually sort of, when I woke up, and if I had gone to the doctor, they probably would have said it was, the vertigo business. But like literally my eyes were going from side to side so fast, they wouldn't stop moving and the whole room was spinning. And that's what happened when I first opened my eyes. But I also at the same time, like kind of jolted back in. So I feel like I had a really bumpy landing.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
only actually happened one time for me, thankfully. But it was very, very scary. So
Yeah.
interested to know
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh God,
I've had a bad re-entry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've experienced
You know.
vertigo one time in my life, and I'm like, never again. That is the worst experience ever. But I've had moments where I've experienced that, like, oh, I was not here, I was out. I physically felt off, but it didn't affect me the way it did with you. But do you know when I have a lot of those dreams or those experiences? It was when I would have a dream that somebody was cheating on me. I know this all goes back to men. This is terrible. But I would have a dream. And like when you wake up from those dreams and sometimes they're so real, but the person's literally right next to you. And you're like, clearly like it was just a dream, but you can't shake that feeling and you're mad at them all day long.
Yep.
You are so funny, Anna. Oh my God.
You know what?
By the
I'll tell you-
way, the men cheating is a past life thing for you.
I mean, seriously?
So
Can you also clear that out too? Let's clear that out. Let's do it. Let's get rid of it. Because let me tell you something. Anytime a man has been dishonest to me in this lifetime, I will dream about it. It will, yes, it will always be in my dream. And I will,
sorry. Well, we're talking about dreams. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah.
And I will always, once I started to realize, this was like over 10 years ago, 15, no, probably 20 years ago is when I first started to realize, oh, that's what's happening, because it would play out in my life. So I became so aware of when I would have a dream where there was something off. And of course, that female intuition, that 5 energy and soul contracts, I was like, I'm going to find it. And it's like you're this detective and the answer just comes to you. And every single time, it would show up. And I live by the rule where if you're just honest with me from day one, like in the moment, if you're like, look, I messed up, this is what happened, I can get through anything. If I have to find out on my own, it's game over. And then that fire energy comes out and, then you're like, you're so angry or upset or and you're like, well, why do you think that is?
Or if I have to find out about it in my dreams, you're really going to be in trouble. Because you're like messing up my night and messing up my sleep.
Totally. So, okay. So we've cleared out this past life cheating stuff and nothing current life. But here's what I want to kind of tap into as well too. When we meditate, or when we, like Kylie, when you put people through a journey, I mean, you're not technically dreaming, but you also are not in present reality. You're vividly seeing what's happening. You're walking yourself through a room, through an experience, through many different things. You're seeing people who have crossed over. There's so much that goes on in those moments, does that kind of qualify or fall into the category of a dream?
I've never thought of it like that. I think that, excuse me, you know, the journeys that I take people on are kind of like lucid dreaming. I think you have complete control. And I think that, you know, like I look at Lauren. Lauren is such a light energy. She does not want to be here. She wants to be back up like 20 dimensions above us and floating around and la 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 all day, right? And she's here in this earthly experience because, you know, I don't know what you did. And she connects with that in her dream state because she needs to power down her earthly body in order to connect to that. And this is why she's getting all these downloads and you know, all these experiences, and that those landings are extremely tough for her. But when you have someone who's able to walk between the different dimensions without shutting down the earthly experience, that's basically that energy that's carrying you through that journey. So essentially you have the ability to tap into these journeys through a very relaxed state. It just happens to be something that we can facilitate on this, you know, awake and not in dream. But yeah, you know, and I think that there is something about intention that's really predominant when it comes to dreaming.
Yeah.
If you ask before you go to bed,
Yep.
I want to go somewhere. I want to go to XYZ. Give me the answer for this. If you're receptive to this and your energy is receptive to it, you can absolutely go there. It's just practice, like practice. It takes like meditation. You don't get meditation the first time. It takes practice, but you can have control of your dream state before you go into it. And I think people are scared by that. So they don't want to do it. They don't know where to go. You know, they don't know what to put out there. But I think that there is so much power in that. So
yeah, very, very much. Very, very much. I like that. I like that.
I
Because you
think
do
I'm a
have the
little bit
ability.
sorry.
No, go.
Sorry,
no,
no,
go.
sorry.
That's I was just going to
What
say.
was that, Lauren?
Yeah. I was going to say that you do have the ability to think, and I think years ago, that's what I was saying beforehand, that I learned, I understood the term to be that you could incubate. It was called incubating your dreams, whereby you set up the dream space, you set up the dream time, and you set your intention. And so it's in a way you impregnate it with what it is that you are wanting to experience or manifest, because you can do that in the dream time. And then you could do that and bring it back into your waking space. So because lots of intentional work or lots of manifesting work, they're using that space and time. That is the basis of a lot of manifestation work. They're using that space. They call it, some people call it the field of potentiality. It's that moment in between the sleep, the awakening, as you're still awake and you're slipping into that space of the dream space. They call that the field of potentiality. And also on waking up, that if you can catch yourself just as you're waking and set your intentions of what it is that you want in that space, then in a sense, the world's your oyster. It's dream space and meditating. They are very similar because of the brainwave patterns and where you go into. So, you know, if you've been meditating, I guess for a long time, you've had a lot of practice, you can go very, 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 very deep. And it's almost the same as if you were sleeping. It's literally as if you were sleeping, because if somebody came in and saw you, you would be out for the count. But I think the difference is that sometimes when it's even a deep meditation, you could be very conscious. You can still hear what's happening. Sometimes in your dream, when you're sleeping, you don't necessarily hear what's going on and still sleep through that. So yeah, I'm just saying. So there may be slight differences, but for the most part, it's all about your brainwave patterns and how deep you've gone. Really.
There is a gentleman named Charlie Morley in the UK, and he
is a practicing Buddhist, and he has written books about lucid dreaming and the hypnagogic state and the hypnopompic state. So like they're those, what you know, you were talking about when you're falling asleep before you go to sleep, in that little bit of space, in the space when, and they're the hypnagogic and hypnopompic, I believe. And there's also the liminal space. So I think some of these places, like, you know, I feel like, and I don't know because I didn't do my research before showing up tonight, but there are some, you know, there's some research and some terms around that. And interesting that, you know, Kylie mentioned, you know, working, you know, it being a dream and working through trauma and whatnot. I know that Charlie Morley's also doing, you know, work with PTSD with veterans through lucid dreaming. So there's some really cool stuff that you can do with lucid dreaming. And lucid dreaming is actually, I believe it's, you know, in Buddhism, it's like they practice going into lucid dreaming so they can be awake in the bardo or the death state when they move over. I might be misquoting some things, but it's called dream yoga, actually. So there are some really cool things that you can do intentionally. But getting to back to the point of intention, it's almost like when I ask for something, I don't get it. And all of my dreams happen when I don't ask for it or at least expect it. So, you know, it's like I had this dream visitation with my father last year. I actually think I traveled because I felt my body moving through the dimensions. And I'm like, every night when I go to bed, can I do that again? Can I do that again? And it's like I'm too eager and it's just not happening. But equally, I've always said, you know, I wake up so tired. It's like I've been really busy all night, but I don't have this memory of what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
Yeah. And I remember one morning messaging Kylie and going, Kylie, I don't know how I know this and I don't know what I did, but I went to the death realms last night. Do you have any insight for me? I don't know if you remember that message, but I was like, what was I doing there? You know, and I don't even know. So there's a lot of mystery around it still for me. And it's something that I guess, you know, will develop over time the more I pay attention. But yeah, I'm a little bit like, if I set an intention, it doesn't happen. So if you're trying it out, people, just, you know, it's okay. It'll happen at some point.
Can we briefly touch on like astral traveling? Because I think that people don't know the difference between, you know, I'm in Paris versus, you know, and I'm there willingly and I'm aware of my surroundings versus, oh, I just watched coverage on the Olympics and I'm dreaming about it, therefore brush it off.
Okay.
I didn't say I was
We
going
want to hear your version of it.
Oh,
Yeah. So
you know what?
No.
I was waiting for
sorry.
Great
my
insight.
only experience was that one where I had that, well, because I physically felt my body transforming and becoming waves of energy in that dream or that visitation or whatever you want to call it. So that, I believe, I was consciously traveling the astral. It's like my whole body was energy. But for the other ones, I can't say that I was traveling astrally. Like I have got no reference point for it. So I'm interested to know.
That's such a Lauren answer. Can
I
just
mean,
acknowledge
seriously,
that?
who says
Like,
that?
I'm in energy form traveling. Like,
It was so
I just
cool.
felt my body turn into a
was like
vibrational
this.
river. And,
Yes.
you know.
Oh,
It's happened
we
once,
do that all the
people.
time.
Once.
Yeah, no.
That's more
Everyone
than
can
us.
relate to that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Makes
so
sense.
cool.
You know what's happening to me recently, and this is kind of a new thing, right? So, fun story, backstory. I had a skin cancer beginning of the year, and I had that removed, but it was right over my third eye chakra. So ever since that's been like done, I have had a lot of leveling up with energy and whatnot, right? So I have started to have these dreams where if I feel like someone that I know in my everyday life will actually come and visit me in my dreams and like tell me things, unload things, and I'm aware when I'm astral traveling versus I'm dreaming. I never dream. I just don't dream. I don't have like I'm eating spiders with my cereal in the morning. Like I don't have those sorts of symbolic. It's always I know the person. this is familiar, this is not of this lifetime. And then I always wake up exhausted. I have that jolt coming in too. I have the sleep paralysis. Like, it is just nuts. So people have these cool like dreams to share. And I'm like, well, I was talking to my other friend in my dream, and I was in the minivan in the pickup line picking my kids up, and we were having conversation. But I'm curious to see, has anyone, I don't really read much up, there's not a lot of that on the internet. So has anyone else had that kind of dream where people visit them?
Honestly, the visiting. All I was about to say is, with my last question, when I was asking you guys if you could tell the difference, is because for me, just by the way, Kylie, I suspect that any dreams, including the spider eating dream, was a traveling dream.
Really? And what makes
Yes,
you
not to just
how does that feel to you? Tell me how that makes you feel.
Oh, look, honestly, what's so spooky about eating a spider after you've got your head around astral traveling? Do you know what I mean? Like, the astral traveling is much more difficult concept to me than spider soup.
But what happens if you're doing it and you're dismissing it again, Rachel?
Well, I'm not dismissing it. I just don't know what to do with it, because, I've had a couple of really, really bad re-entries. And one of them, like Lauren, I can't remember, I must have felt off for the whole day. But when it gave me such a shock that when I got out of bed and I was sweating so much, when I came back to bed, I could feel where I had been standing because the carpet was wet from the sweat coming off me, that kind of thing, kind of bad re-entry. So I don't know what to say. Honestly, if I call into any emotion, it's frustration that I don't understand it and I can't use it and I can't control it and I can't do what I want with it. That would be really what it is. And not that I feel a victim to it, but it's like, again, it's like, oh, this is great. So what do I do with this kind of stuff? So Kylie, if you have any insight in what we can do to harness the astral traveling, that would be great.
You know what?
How do you get reins on it?
I think it's like practice. I think that like anything, because everyone's like frustrated they can't meditate, right? Yeah. Do you meditate regularly? You have the discipline for it.
Yeah, no, I would do it every day now, for sure.
So I think that's the gateway drug into the astral traveling, to be honest. I think just keep meditating and put the intention out there in meditation. Like, can I activate this in my dream state, where you can really kind of shut the earthly body down to be, so that's what I'm getting from it.
Okay.
So the interesting thing about that is, up until recently, and for years, years ago, I started meditating, but I would very quickly get into a space where I'd be in 5 minutes and my body would be physically itching to get out of it. Just be done. You're done. You're done. And it's like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't stay in meditation state anymore. I just had to just be done. And I'd be like, why is that happening to me? And then I would say it's only been within the last few months that I noticed that now I could sit in it for 15, 20 minutes and really be present in it. Before, it'd be like, as soon as I get in, I'm just itching to come back out. And all I want to do is stay there. But I just physically, my body, it's like, no, you just got to get out. Isn't that weird?
A lot of people can be like, a lot of people say that they can't meditate because they just can't sit in that space for that time, or they just can't be still, or they can't get the thinking part. They can't get their brain to sort of like calm down enough, because then they're thinking about everything. They're thinking about, this and doing that and what I'm going to do afterwards. I've got to go get shopping, or I've got to go this, I've got to go do the car or something like that. But the thing is that anything could be a meditation. Literally anything could be a meditation. It doesn't mean that you have to go and find a particular space or place to sit down and take that time out. Say for like my husband, washing up the dishes is a meditation for him. Subsequently, it takes him forever to do it.
Does he do it very well though?
Does it really well. Drives me absolutely potty, but he does it really well. But he just goes off into a space and he's doing it. And he could be watching and doing stuff, but he just goes off into a space and a place. And that, but if I was to say to him, you know, come and sit down and meditate, he probably wouldn't be able to do that. He just wouldn't be able to do that. But there are different ways and that people can find to just meditate, even walking, just a walk. You go out for a walk, 15, 20-minute walk. You just go out and just be with yourself. What you've really got to understand is that, why am I doing this? Why do I need to find time to be with myself and to be with my thoughts, no matter what happens, no matter what comes? Because meditation isn't pushing out all of the other things. It's not about that. It's about being okay with all of those other things. And when you're okay with it, the resistance becomes less, and then it begins to peter out itself, you know? So it's a case of, it doesn't matter whether or not you can sit for 5 minutes. You know, it's a wonderful thing. Everybody can, you know, sit there for half an hour. Sometimes back in the day, I used to meditate for an hour, 2 hours. I simply can't do that now. And I don't think it's because I can't be there for an hour. I've got so much more things to be doing, watching reality TV, but yeah, we're not about that. But, you know, there's so much I've got to pack into a day. And and I think it's about how we set our intentions for it. You know, if you were to set off and go for a walk for the day and say, this is going to be my meditation for the day, and you'll just set off, you'll move into that space. As you begin to walk, you begin to notice things, you begin to notice people in a different way, you begin to notice colors in a different way. You know, everything sounds different. You know, you could go out for a walk and suddenly you realize, my God, there's so many birds. Have they always been there? Or have they just arrived? When did they get here? Do you know what I mean? But because we spend most of our time rushing through life. So anything where you slow it down, you just slow it down and you just become more in tune. Meditation is really about becoming in tune. That's what it is. And all the other stuff is just, you know, it's just really just smoke and mirrors, really. You can do whatever you want. You can have your crystals, you can have your, you know, your sage, and you can smoke out everything. You can set the scene, but setting the scene is anything. Is really anything. You can go and sit in the park. You can go and walk. You can go and sit. You know, it is really anything you want it to be.
It's like being aware of the subtle energies, though, isn't it? Like when I go for a walk, I like to go, you know, there'll be a purple flower and I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring that energy into my, you know, into my crown chakra or whatever, or yellow, and oh, I'm going to bring that energy into me. So it's almost like tuning into the subtle frequencies around you, but also within you. It's a similar sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
I
So
love that.
I wanted to ask,
I would never think to do that. But now
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if there's a big tree, I'm like,
That's
you know, like
amazing.
soak up the wisdom and the strength of the tree, you know? It's like,
Yeah, I do that.
yeah.
Do that. Or you see it, you know, even things like
I
trees.
talk to
You
it too.
wonder how they've been. Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
talk to trees. I wonder, like, you know, you see certain trees or you see certain things, and I wonder what their story is. I wonder how long they've been there. I wonder, see, I always think as well, what is it that they've experienced? What have they seen in a sense of a changing landscape of people? And they are so much, because say like trees, vegetation, stones, rocks, things like that, they hold history. They are the history holders. Do you know what I mean? And so it's all of that things. I mean, I don't talk to rocks, but you know, you can do. Well, that's what I'm saying. You can do, but I just don't. I just don't. I probably get sectioned, but I don't.
Okay.
You know, but I just wanted to ask Kylie, because I don't think we answered what you were saying. That so what you were asking about before. Just recap that a bit, because I just wanted to dive into that.
I don't know what I said.
There's something about the astral traveling.
Astral traveling about, I don't know.
Like, how do we know we're doing it? Well, you're always doing it.
Yes.
That's what you take.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I was going to jump in before, and I'll say it quickly now. I've had a realization while we've been sitting here about my different types of dreams. Okay. So when it's something prophetic, it's almost like I see it like a movie playing out in a certain way. There's a certain vibrancy. I can remember what I'm thinking while I'm watching it, etc., etc. Right? I have certain feelings, whatever. And then when there've been sort of the past life dreams, I'm literally looking through the eyes of the person So maybe I traveled, I don't know. But, I'm literally looking through the eyes of the person that everything is happening to. And they are me. I 100% know they're me. But so it's through the eyes rather than watching something playing out, right? And I forget what the other one was. So I'll leave it at that. But so for me, it's different viewpoints, different feeling. And the times I have traveled, there's one more time I've traveled, though I didn't feel like I was a wave, where it was a very vibrant dream, lots of colors. And I went into this house, and it was like a shop, but it was a house, and it was this, beautiful knick-knacky things, like it might have been crystals and candles and, all these beautiful things. And I remember the colors and everything was beautiful and vibrant. And the shopkeeper answered the phone and said, "Is there a Lauren here?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Lauren." And they handed me the phone, and it was my dad on the other end. So it seems to be like, my dad's connected with me a few times through my dreams. One time I did get to be a wave, but I don't remember being a wave in this one. So that was probably a travel. But yeah, so it's quite interesting. So I think paying attention to sort of, and this is the other thing, sorry, I'm going on a bit, but no, I'm not, sorry. It's really good to make notes about your dreams. It's really good to make notes about your dreams. And I do say to my clients, you don't have to write a full page about everything, but just do some bullet points, because sometimes you can forget. Now, the ones that really stand out in your mind, like all of those ones I've talked about, like I really remember them. I didn't need to write them down, but there are some subtler ones. Like I had a dream that I actually can't even remember what happened in the dream, but when I was reading my dream journal, I actually dreamt in September 2020 about Russia bombing Ukraine, and I wrote it down. I have no idea what actually happened in the dream, but you do forget some. So I think if your higher self knows, your spirit knows, you're paying attention, you're making some notes, and it's kind of like, doing a little bit of a decoding, like seeing what it means for you and seeing the patterns. So I just think I've had quite a lot, and I've really paid attention to them. So I've been able to do that, and I can tell them, apart more anyway.
See, and you're making an excellent point, because generally most dreams, by the time you wake up and get out of bed and go to the bathroom, you have forgotten most, if not all, of your dream. So that's why they say it's really important when you wake up, just have a journal next to your bed and just immediately write down everything you can remember. Because how many times, like even for me, like I'll wake up and I'll remember everything and I'll go, okay, I have to remember to write this down. I have to remember to, this detail or that detail. And literally 3 seconds later, gone, so gone.
Yeah.
And it was important. But that is such a huge thing. And that bombing dream is crazy.
Yeah. I know when I read it last year sometime, and I went, I don't even, so even when the events actually happened, I don't remember having had that dream, but clearly I wrote it down as soon as I woke up and then never read it again. But basically it said, in my dream, I woke up in the morning. So I woke up in my dream, and my husband told me that Russia had bombed a European country. And I wrote Belgium ? Because I'm not very good with my geography. And then I wrote the beginning of World War III. Like, I know that hasn't happened, but that was what I wrote. And so when I read it last year, I was like, wow, I dreamt that, but I have no actual memory of what the dream was.
I'm actually wondering
aside
if
from
that
what I wrote.
hasn't happened yet. Like I'm getting a major download with that piece of information, but this is for a different time. But I don't know.
Make the time now.
I don't know. Okay. I don't. So I want to also touch on another facet of that, but I'm just saying, as a download, Lauren, I think I think that while the Russia-Ukraine thing was a beginning catalyst, there is something else that's coming, and it's something to do with an attack in Belgium that's going to be a catalyst for something. So I think that
considers
when I got
the
that,
center of the European Union.
Got major
right. My geography is terrible.
Energy out of you saying Belgium. So you don't dismiss the bad geography, girlfriend, because I don't think that portion has happened yet. So let's come back to this.
I hope it doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't, but there needs
some
to
more
be an
energy
equilibrium established in that region. There needs to be some sort of, I'm sorry, Amanda, because you're like on the outskirts of it, but there's something big coming for that continent. So speaking of bombings, because it's a light subject,
It's
so
like
I also
eating
want-
spiders. Yeah.
exactly, it's totally normal, right? If anyone's watching this that's not deep into the spiritual work and is just starting to learn, I think that dreams are such a good starting point, and recognizing that, because like my husband, we are complete opposites. He's very scientifically based. He questions a lot of, he's like, okay, I see what you're doing. Why? I don't want to ask, right? Why are you doing that? And so anyway, he has these dreams. Like he dreamt 9/11 happened before it happened. He's had visitations, and he'll wake up and then hit code. Like he goes straight back into his other side of the brain, left, right side, whatever. He'll go straight back into his analytical side. But his dreams is where he connects spiritually and connects with messages. So it's really important that if you are just starting to dive in and everything is overwhelming, and I don't see the repetitive numbers, I don't get visits by birds, I don't connect with this and this and this. Dreams are the gateway into this. So I would take Lauren's advice and start writing down everything and anything, and then pay attention to that. Because I think once you start doing that, and it's such a subconscious thing, once you start doing that, then you expand and expand and expand and expand.
Yeah, you get more and more.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're also looking for your own language.
Yes.
It's your own language that you're also looking for, and I think that's really important. Let's talk about, my son used to suffer from night terrors, and that's not nightmares. It's two different things. And he used to suffer from it almost nightly, and you couldn't wake him up because he was already awake. But because his eyes would be wide open, but he would just be screaming. Literally, he would be crying, screaming, and you'd be shaking him, wake up, wake up, wake up. But his eyes are awake, he's awake, but you can see he's sleeping. And he's not a person that sleeps with his eyes open. He doesn't. So that I went through for a good few years with him. I didn't know then. I mean, I remember going to the doctors about it, and they said it was night terrors, and you just have to do the usual thing, calm them down before they go to bed, give them a bath, which was absolutely crap. If I knew then, I suppose what I know now, I knew that I would need. And so what I started to do was that I started to send him off to sleep. Well, that's not true. It's not if I knew then. What I started to do back then was to send him off to sleep with meditation tapes. And he would have been he was like 5, 6 years old, and I used to put on like headphones on him, meditation tapes, and allow him to go off to sleep. I think he was battling and dealing with, I don't know what he was doing in his spirit self, in his spirit form. He was doing all other spiritual work, because he is the one that is he's more switched on. And I think he was doing a lot of stuff. He was seeing a lot of things that we just weren't seeing. And that was, so he used to suffer from, that was kind of crazy. At the time, I think it was very difficult for me as well, because I was, in a sense, I had like 3 kids under the age of, say, at the time, all my kids were born very close together. So I was tired as hell, and I wanted to sleep. So when I'm in my room and I hear you every night and you're crying, and I just come in, and all I could think of is just wake up. Just wake up, just wake up. You couldn't get him awake. You literally had to spend 10, 15 minutes shaking him and calling him. I had to call him back into his body. That was what it was I had to do. Each time I had to call him back into his body.
And that typically happens with kids only too.
Yeah.
I've had one case where I've had an adult who has had night terrors who's actually come physically violent during their night terrors, and that's a possession. But on when it's with children, absolutely, they are processing past lives. They're taking on generational stuff for the family. Usually there's that one in the family that kind of digests everything. And it's usually like 90% of the time it's a little child that's doing it, and it's absolutely terrifying as a parent to watch this. Terrifying.
It was. And it was like I said, I had to literally call him back into his body. It's not real. It's not real.
And that's the only safe way to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't know if I ever had anything like that when I was little, but as an adult, and I wouldn't say it would be like for a long period of time, but there are times that I do wake up screaming where it takes my husband a little while to sort of make me realize that, yeah,
You're
that
off doing
I'm
some
okay,
work.
that I'm in, yeah,
Clearly.
don't know what. Not fun, but yeah, I there was like the worst one I had was actually earlier this year, but I actually have no idea what it's about. So fun times. I'll let you know when I know.
Okay, listen, we're gonna liven this up. You ready? I'm gonna throw
Okay.
myself into the fire. When I was younger, I would dream that I'd have to go pee.
Oh yeah.
Anyone know where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would wake up because I would have actually peed my bed.
Feed to beds.
Now, till this day, I am of having an
If you see
experience
a
like
toilet
that.
in your dream, like, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there.
Okay, well, I will say this. Twice in my adult life, I've
That's
actually had a
happened.
dream where I'm like, and one was recent. It was maybe a month ago. I was getting off of an airplane and I was going somewhere. I was with some people. And I was like, oh, before we get going, I have to go to the bathroom first. And I remember like sitting down to pee. And I remember feeling like, oh, this feels so good.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to myself, no, stop. And I woke up and I was like, oh my God. And I had to run and go pee.
Yeah.
And that,
It's the
I'm like,
best pee
what is
ever, isn't it?
that?
It's the best pee ever. So what are we releasing? Because that does happen. It is the best pee ever. That's happened to me,
Yes.
and it's happened to me, and it's also happened to me in my adult. I never thought I'd speak about this on, like, you know,
Ever.
like
Anyway,
In-
ever. And it happened to
Here
me
we
on
are.
holiday. My husband was on holiday, and then we had to. He was just like, just come and go to bed. I said, no, I've actually wet the bed. I said I was dreaming about going to the toilet. I've actually wet the bed. And so when we got everything changed, I went into the bathroom and I let him stay with the people. Let them think it was him. I went into the bathroom. But
Yes.
it is. But it's such a relief. It's such a relief. And are we shedding something? Are we letting go of something?
Mm.
I don't know, because
Yes.
it's a whole different feeling.
It is. And do
Because
you
there's
think
some
that
true.
yeah, and do you think the feeling is because your body is so relaxed that you are just so like free floating in your body that you're just like, oh, this feels so good? Because I think about that too. It does
Well,
feel so good.
it could be. And I was also thinking about, it's, you know, it's water, it's to do with our kidneys, it's to do with our emotions, it's to do with our feelings. Are we releasing something?
Letting go.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we letting
That's
go?
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
thinking how
then
hard it would be to pee lying down if you were awake. Just have a think about that. Just think about
Challenge
the
accepted.
physicality of trying to lie down and do a wee awake.
wait, so then do you guys think then when children pee the bed that they're actually having that same experience?
I don't know, because it's kind of related to different things. When children pee the bed, it's usually about fear in their waking life. It's usually about fear.
Yeah.
And so about something, you know, it doesn't have to be a fear of people. Okay, so this is the thing that I think we have to, like, when we talk about finding your own language, that it isn't always a fear of somebody, because in the books it will say it's a fear of the father. It's a fear of the father parental figure. And I don't necessarily always think it's to do with that. I think that's just been written, and it's stuck. I think it's to do with a fear of losing something. It could also be a fear of losing something, especially with children. And so I think that with children, when their parents are going through stuff, it isn't a fear of the male figure. Sometimes I think it's a fear of what is coming up, what is losing, what's happening. They're in unsafe grounds. And so you find that a lot of children whose parents are going through, say, separation, divorces, at least one, if you've got three, at least one of those three kids are gonna become a bedwetter, or they will be a bedwetter, because that's how they're showing that I'm processing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening with me. And children can go on to wet their beds well into their teens, because, you know, and that can happen. So I think it's to do with a lot of fear, but it's not necessarily, like I said, a fear of a being or a person. There are fearful situations that they might be experiencing. Like, as we know, children that are getting bullied at school and things like that, that's how sometimes how it was show up in the home, you know?
Yeah.
And that. So, you know, just like how we say, like, you know, when you're in a really scary place or a scary something, you know, I mean, people always say, I nearly wet myself. Do you know what I mean? I was scared out of my wits. I nearly wet myself, you know? So I think it's to do with that, when it's children bedwetting, which I think it might be slightly different to adults.
I'll just jump in for a second. So I had that problem when I was little. I mean, I did till I was about 7, I think. But as an adult, what I've discovered through various research and whatnot is that it has a lot to do with being in the sympathetic nervous system response. So, you know, fight, flight, freeze. So it is, you know, it's that heightened state where the body doesn't go into the parasympathetic when they're sleeping. So then what happens is they don't produce the hormones that actually prevent the urine from being produced and then released. So there's actually a physiological sort of perspective to that, but it's the fear, it's the kidney meridian, you know, it's all of those things.
So does it mean that they are always on alert then?
Yes.
That they're always in a heightened state of alert?
Heightened state. Yeah. And
wow.
yeah, and it can be also because it can relate to airway health and the capacity of the airway, because anyway, I won't go into all of the anatomy of everything, but I have done quite a bit of research and looked into it. But essentially, yeah, they're in the heightened state all the time. They're not going into rest. The hormones aren't being produced. And, you know, so that's that leads to that. And then, you know, what do most people do? They get them a bedwetting alarm because they think it's the right thing to do. And then they're freaking out their nervous system that's already really freaked out. So there are a whole lot of craniofacial sleep dentists that are working now with airways. And that also, it isn't just for bedwetting, it's also for things like ADHD and autism and all sorts of things, which have other factors as well. But this is just another perspective or angle to look at.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's perfect. But, you know, even, you know, we can always, I think it's brilliant when you can match up the sort of like science side with the spiritual side, you know, because it really gives it, you know what I mean? Really gives it that sort of like, it makes it solid.
Right.
And it makes absolute sense. Gives it absolute validity. Yeah.
Well,
and it's all important. Yeah. And it's all important. It's not one or the other. It's
not.
both.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
And I think that's why it's so important somebody like Joe Dispenza, who he talks about the things we're talking about, but he does that from a science position, right? And a lot of people who are very much science brained, and they think with, I need the research and the information to back it up. It's so great for them because, and it's funny because what they'll do is they'll be experiencing the same thing we talk about. Their manifestation, their dreams, their, you know, regulating and clearing out a lot of stuff. And then when you say to them, oh, we're doing the same thing, like they're like, no, we're not. Right. And I'm like, I don't even care if you realize it or not. The thing is, you're doing it, but you just want to use your terms, which make you feel more
comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just familiar terms.
I don't even care. Yeah. But yeah, he does a great job of combining those two for people who are just not open to spirituality, if you will. You know,
yeah, I'll often recommend him and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton.
And Bruce Lipton.
Those three, like, you know, they all come
really
from scientific backgrounds. They all have written really great books. Anyway, they're good scientific
good scientists. Yeah. Has anybody seen the film Inception?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good film on dream.
Okay. Has anybody experienced that?
What, Inception? What happened in it?
Yes. So like where you're waking up from a dream, but then the dream you wake up is really, but then you wake up from that dream.
That dream. Yes. Or you've woken up. Yes. Yeah, I have.
And
I don't think I
And you
have.
find
I don't think I have.
it was just a dream. That's happened quite a few times to me. But you see, I tend to loop that in with sort of lucid dreaming, that I wake up in the dream, but I know that I wake up, so it could go round and round and round in a loop, which is what it basically was talking about. That you wake up in the dream, you know that you're dreaming, but you're not in the physical. You're still in another dream. So you really don't know how many of those, because that's what it's really about. You really don't know what is reality, because we are all dreaming. And that's what, you know, some belief systems say anyway. We're always in the dream state. This is what we're dreaming. I mean, if you look at the Matrix had us all in those pods, and we're all dreaming. It's all a dreamscape. But Inception, I thought, was just brilliant. I thought is the way how they described it, in a sense of, you know, you have an architect. Somebody has to build the dreamscape, you know, and then you got, but the thing that fascinated me most was the role that Tom Hardy played, in the sense that that there's always somebody in a dream whereby they look like somebody else, but you know who they really are, but they always seem to play the role of somebody else. And so you can see that other person imprinted on them, but you know that there's somebody else. And so when you come out and you'll speak to somebody, you'll say, oh, I dreamt my dad today, but it wasn't my dad, but I knew it was my dad, but it wasn't my dad.
yeah.
And he played that role so brilliantly. The way how they did it was so, and you thought, oh my God, that is exactly how it happens. Do you know what I mean? I that's a film I really, really do like. And I kind of tried to watch it a good few times to try and really get to
You need to.
Yeah, you do.
You need to watch it a few times.
You do.
It's a complicated one.
You learn something new each time.
It's true. Last month, I had a dream that I was pregnant with twins. Not happening, but you know, I had this dream I was pregnant with twins. It was not a premonition. But then the next
How
night,
do you know?
How do you know?
it's not happening.
Oh, that'd be a plot twist.
No. But then the next night, I had a dream, and in that dream, I was telling someone that I was pregnant with twins, and I woke up and I went, like, so.
Oh,
So
listen. We're gonna have to throw you a
Stop
baby
saying pregnant
shower
with
on this
twins.
show.
Yeah,
no.
saying
But it was
pregnant with
like,
twins.
but in the dream, the second dream, when I was saying to someone, I'm pregnant with twins, then I kicked in and went, no, I'm not. But it was a carry on from the last dream. It was really fascinating, 2 nights in a row. So I was telling someone in the second dream about my first dream. And then while I was doing that, I went, no, that's not true. That was a dream. So yeah, I don't know, worked that one out.
Interesting.
My mum used to dream a lot of stuff. My mum was like that. She would dream a lot of stuff, but then she began to sort of like use her dreams to sort of like try and keep us in check. So then after a while, we just stopped dreaming, and she'll say, you know, I dreamt last night that this and this and this was happening and stuff like this. So I'm telling you now, you know, you need to come home on time. And you just think, oh, for the love of God, Mum, just stop doing that. Because, you know, it's like, but she did. She used to dream a lot. She used to dream a lot. But my parents have passed. And when I dream them now, they never really speak. And every time I wake up, I always say to myself, oh my God, I wanted the opportunity to say to them, do you know that you're not here in the physical anymore? Do you know that? And I want to have that conversation with them about, do you know what I mean? But they never really speak. And interestingly enough, you get a lot of visitations in dreams. My dad is not somebody that visits any of us a lot in terms of dreams. My mum, yeah, she does. You can dream about, but my dad isn't. And my daughter has dreamt my dad a couple of times, whereby maybe she's gone through like some times that are really tough. Or I think one time she was doing an exam for her work and it was really tough. And she dreamt that she was at a gymnastics competition, and Granddad was there. And she said, and he just smiled at me, Mum. And then when I finished the competition, I walked over to him, and I think he hugged her and he said something to her. Can't remember what it was. And I said to her, wow, I said, do you know how lucky you are? I said, because we don't dream. Granddad doesn't come he just doesn't come to everybody. I said, so for him to come to you like that, he's telling you that you're going to be just fine. And she was. And she was. But it was really heartening for her to hear that about her granddad, because he doesn't visit. He just doesn't visit everybody. Even in a reading, I had a reading once just recently, and he came through. I was shocked. I wasn't expecting him to come through, and he came through. And then my mum came through and said to the reader, "You're very lucky because he doesn't come to he just doesn't come out like that. It doesn't come to anybody." And she was repeating it. She was having a conversation with my mum, and then she said it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, it's true." He doesn't. But you know, I'd love for them to visit more in the dream space. I'd love to have conversations with them, but I don't know. I think I go into a different space when I see them and feel them. So I've still got to, in a sense, maybe train myself or work myself in a particular way whereby I can get out of that place of sometimes, because it's a lot of should be sadness, but it's just missing them. I just miss them in the physical, that's all. But I'd love to have conversations with them. So maybe one day I'll get into a space and I'll come back and tell you.
Well, Amanda, the way you tell us, just have your higher self connect with their higher self to meet you in your dream space.
Yes, it can. Yes, yeah, I should do, but I just haven't got round to haven't got round to doing it. I just haven't. But I'd love to have a conversation with them because they were such spiritual people. I would love to ask them what happened when you went, and where are you, and what's going on. Give me the tea.
Yeah. Totally. Kylie, would it be so fun if you, before we closed out, if you did a really fun card pull?
Yes, I can do that.
Maybe you have like a dream deck or something.
Ha ha ha.
I don't know why.
Exciting.
I feel like doing the Moonology Oracle card set. Little plug for Moonology. All right. I feel like I need some theme music for the shuffle. Can you add that in?
Go, Kylie. We love Kylie. Go, Kylie. We love Kylie. I'm like, this is great that we get some Kylie value just for having her here and just asking.
I love having friends who have these decks. It's like
Oh,
the best.
how many decks does she have?
I've got loads of decks. I don't use them anymore. I used to just love collecting them.
Yeah.
Me too. Oh my God, Amanda, you should see how many I've got.
I've got loads, whole shelf.
See what's in my handbag, see what's in my bookshelf. I'm just saying we need to have a whole episode for that.
Show and tell.
Your dreams need a practical plan.
That's what you just got?
I just got that one.
Okay, say it again.
That's about dreams.
Your dreams need a practical plan.
Wow.
And I got you are good enough. And I think with the energy, what I'm getting from this is that a lot of people struggle to connect with their spiritual self, spiritual outwardness, energy, and people get discouraged. And I think that that's why they don't kind of dive into it as deep as some people do. And I think that if you believe you're good enough, you deserve these experiences, you can achieve these experiences. It's an intention, it's the plan, right? The plan is the intention. You too can have these elevated dreams, because these dream states are unlike what a lot of people can even achieve in their earthly experience, right? So this is the most tangible way for a lot of people to connect. So that's my TED Talk.
Beautiful. I mean, how awesome was that? I mean, how on point was that with our conversation, our discussion today?
There you go.
Hurrah.
See, ask and you shall receive.
So, set an intention and then write it down.
Yes.
Write it down. Yes.
Yeah.
And tell yourself, well done.
Yeah.
Always. Yes. Look, that gratitude.
That's totally Amanda.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Right. But that is so important, because it's not only about giving gratitude to the universe, which is so important, but also to yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't give that to yourself, like, the hardest thing for us to do is always to give to us. It's easier to give to others than to reflect back to you. So yeah, it's so on point and so important. And yeah.
Yeah, I was going to throw in there as well. I love that card. I love that card that you pulled. I think just wow, because what I was going to say before is that we don't realize, because it's really been been taught out of us and pulled out of us, and DNA wise and everything else wise, we don't realize just how important the dream state is, or that sleep time, that dream state is. And so it's important for us to remember our magic and our abilities and who we truly are. And part of that is by accessing the dream space, accessing those other realms, and discovering, learning, and remembering, and bringing that back to the now. So be playful with it. That's what I say. Be playful with it, have fun, get out there and practice, and then look for evidence of it showing up.
And there's no right way to do it, actually. Everyone's different.
Yeah. I love it. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everybody who's been following us today and listening to our beautiful dream journeys. If you have any insight or any questions for us or anything, just leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us today. To find out more about each beautiful soul on this panel, please visit yoursoulwisdomshow.com, where you can get to know each and every one of us, schedule some powerful sessions, and connect with us. We thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space, and we hope you have a blessed day. Thank you, and see you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you.